Hello, my dudes, and welcome back to the Mikey and the Press Pass podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm David.
And what are you hurfing on?
I'm smoking a mi carita tonight. I think it's Spanish for my cheese. So, mi carita. Means cheese.
Okay, I don't...
Yeah, it's very cheesy. I actually don't know what mi carita means.
I don't know either.
Oh.
Because
You're
queso is cheese.
No, not queso.
Queso.
That's you're thinking of something else.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure carita means cheese. Anyway.
How's that for you?
I haven't had one in a while. It's punchier than I remember.
Cool.
I got on that Tricky Track game for a minute, which is like the other mi carita.
Oh, what did you call it?
The Tricky Tracker?
Is that what it's called?
The red labeled?
Oh, I didn't know that was called that.
The red label looks just like the mi carita, same band, but it's red instead of blue.
Uh-huh,
It's called the Tricky Tracker.
Oh.
Don't ask me why. I don't know what that means either.
Yeah, I was kind of liking that to like a lighter version of the Jaime Garcia, the mi carita.
Yeah.
So I was like, if we've run out of Jaime Garcias, I just pick that up. But since we don't have any of them, I can't pick anything up.
Yeah, I don't. I think it just doesn't have. I don't know that I think it's lighter. I think it's not as strong. I think that's probably why I don't like, because the Jaime Garcia is fine, but it's just like one or two clicks up too strong for me.
The Jaime?
Yeah. It's not that I don't like the dig on the flavor. Every time I light one up, I'm like, this is good. But then about halfway through, I'm like, God, it's so fucking strong. Like, it's just like one or two clicks too high. This is just like a couple of clicks down from the flavor profile is pretty similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I am smoking a San Latano Maduro Requiem. Yeah, all the AJ Fernandez blends are just bangers to me.
I think that one's a pretty big standout.
Actually, I've been really digging the Hoya that he makes. The espresso, that size, that little shorty. Hoya de Monterey.
The red and black one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had that. I was kind of, when it first came out, I was kind of underwhelmed. I was like,
like, it had a really pronounced, like, coffee, like, dark chocolate notes to it. And
yeah, it's called, like, the espresso or something,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So I'm digging that.
I really like the Ramon Lones that he did. I thought that one was good. I like the H. Upman that he did.
Yeah, but the thing about when he goes to those bigger brands, like, the price tag goes up a lot. It's like, like, AJ Fernandez a lot.
The H. Upman's like $12.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks nice, so you would think it. Yeah, the Ramon Lones is like $20.
Mm-hmm.
But the H. Upman is only like, I think it's like $12, maybe $13 here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we sell them at Aloni and they're like $12.
Okay.
I really like that. But there was a couple of the Monty. I still don't get why everyone likes that one. I just like, I smoked it like 3 or 4 times. I was like, I mean, it's okay, but
it's like, hey AJ, could you blend us something? It's like, yeah, let me hit myself in the hammer in the head, and then I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, for me, the Requiem Maduro like is one of his better blends. But I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the New World or most of the San Latano line.
Oh wow, really?
The New Worlds are fine,
yeah.
But like everyone like hypes them, like they're like.
What's that nice like that graph where it goes in between price point and flavor, and then like hits that sweet spot right there.
Yeah, see, for me, they're still like $10-11 though, aren't they? I mean, they're not expensive, but
it's a lot lower than the California average for a good cigar.
Yeah, I guess maybe by like $1 or $2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. For me, that's like...
That's 2 whole tacos, bro.
2 whole tacos?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, I just think the Requiem Maduro is good. Some of the... Like, the New World Connecticut is, like, fine. The New Worlds are good. I don't think they're as great as everyone seems to think they are, but Last Call... I like the Maduro Last Call, but the Habano's okay, too. Yeah, like, most of AJ stuff is fine. Like, most of it's, like, decent to above average.
Super consistent.
But then there's a few things that are really good, and I think the Requiem Maduro is one of them. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the H. Upman too is pretty dynamite. But yeah, anyway.
So what you been doing this week?
Well, I started helping Chris Davis with debate stuff for his class. So that's been going.
Mm-hmm. Zooming it?
No, so far it's just been him and I. No, that's not right. It's just been him and me. Like meeting and talking lesson plans and
not like, actually like him teaching the class or the.
He does that 2 days a week. I think he might want me to come on some point, but I don't really know when. I mean, I'm fine to do that. I don't really care if I do one way or another. I don't know how much. I don't know. It always feel weird.
Is Kool-Aid, man? The Kool-Aid, the container or the liquid?
Exactly. Wait, what?
The Kool-Aid man. Remember I had this thing?
Like, yeah, what is that?
What is he?
What does this have to do with debate?
I don't know. Just debate that.
Oh, okay. I guess like a debate.
Yeah.
Topic.
Yeah.
I thought you were just like drawing an analogy to me being the Kool-Aid man and being mayor.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how to interact with high schoolers. Apparently, like it just fucking. I feel like there's like little stupid people, but I always feel incredibly awkward around them. I don't know why.
Hey kids, let me rap you a story about this time.
No, I don't. I don't know how to deal with them because they're not really adults. But you can't really talk to them like they're children.
Just talk to them like adults.
But they're not adults.
But talk to like they're adults.
But I can't do that. That's like fuck a man like it's a woman. Like no, they're different things. Like you can you clearly don't interact with high schoolers either. You can't talk to them like adults. It's just not possible. You can try to talk to them like adults, but like their life experience and intellectual capacity and emotional maturity is
How about
not...
talk to them like they're people? That's a start.
They are people, but they just fit into this weird fucking category of like, how do I have discourse with you? I don't know how to.
I'm here to teach, learn.
Yeah, see, but maybe I just don't fancy myself a teacher. Maybe that's part of the problem. It's like, oh, I'm gonna lay some knowledge on some kid. Like, just
you do it all the time on this fucking podcast.
That's because the people tune in obviously want to hear it. It's not.
Well, they're obviously there to listen to somebody talk about that subject.
Well, what the fuck do I know about anything?
I don't know.
I'm not claiming expertise over some shit. You
should get fired, dude.
You're a teacher.
You should just get fired. You failed the test, bro.
I failed what test?
Played yourself, man. I'm telling Chris. I'm showing this podcast. Dude doesn't even know how to teach, man. He doesn't know how to talk to these kids.
But I'm not the teacher. Chris is the teacher. Instructor, technically. I don't claim domain over things. When you're someone's instructor, you claim some sort of domain and authority over them.
You're a guest speaker, I guess, right?
I guess. I don't know.
So just be a guest speaker.
Yeah, I don't. It's just weird to like. I mean, I only like went to talk with the kids once, and it just felt.
Hey kids, what's your TikTok?
Yeah, I feel
cool dances for you to know. I
feel like that's what I should be doing.
What kind of filters do you use on your pictures?
Exactly. I don't. What are the things? Well, no, because they're like.
Hey kids, you find any cool E-bomb clips?
You kids and your Dan Fogelberg. But no, it's been going good. So we're getting some kind of a roadmap for where the lesson's going to go and getting the syllabus, and so I'm kind of helping out with things that I understand a little bit about and trying to help inject that into the lessons. And I think I'll probably come on Zoom calls at some point, and if it's fruitful, I don't know how much Chris needs me to be there for that sort of stuff, but and then down the road I'll help with constructing cases and kind of like cross-examination and stuff like that. So it's fun. It's cool. We'll see how it goes. It's been going for.
You will report back.
I will report back. And so, yeah, I'll be curious to kind of see what the topic's for.
Didn't you guest speak before the?
Yeah. So... Yeah, I went up there and I helped him with some cases, and went up there to kind of help with one of his classes one day. I gave him a ride up there, and then so I guess he was like, they're getting back into it now, and he was like, hey man, I could use some help, and I can pay you now, so like, you want to help out? And I was like, yeah, sure, that'd be cool. And so yeah, I'll be curious to see what the debate topics for like the upcoming tournaments are going to be, because it seems like they try to make them somewhat topical and somewhat contentious. So that could be interesting. It's always fun to construct cases and kind of see what the kids come up with. So I don't really know much about most of his students at this point. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where they're at and get an idea how good they are at debating. That's fun.
Oh.
So what about you?
Just cleaning mode, man. It seems like that whoever's stuck in the Saturday morning position is like deemed the keeper of the shop at one point, because it's just like there's so much free time.
Yeah.
Like I can't. What am I gonna do? Like, sure I could smoke cigars and watch TV, but that's gets boring after a while. So I just like I think it's like a combination of me, like myself cleaning up all my things and then moving into a place, and now I'm still stuck in that mode where like I gotta go throw stuff away. And it's been that kind of mode for me for the last 2 months.
Part of it probably is too, though, that it's just like you said, like when the shop is busy and you need something, you just kind of like scramble around until you could find it, and you're like, I need this thing. Okay, so you gotta go use it, get whatever for a purpose, and you're like, okay, let's put it back or whatever. But like on Saturdays when you go to do stuff, and you're like, you go and you have to like find like a thing, and there's like all this stuff that's in disarray, and there's just like crickets in the shop. You're like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking organize this now.
Yeah.
Like, because I have time, and so I just organize it, and that's the way it rolls. Like pretty much every thing that I've like ever organized has probably been on like a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon shift. Just it's when you have the most time. Sometimes sometimes I can find it could be like because I used to get to the end of the week sometimes. And if there had been like a particular, like I'd been busy with like a lot of shipments and stuff throughout the week, because that's how it goes. It goes in waves here, right? Where it's like you'll get a fucking shipment 3 days a week or 4 days a week, and then you won't see one for weeks sometimes. Yeah. Because Bill is the kind of guy that's like, we gotta place orders. And he places orders for like 10 different companies and stocks up for months. And then so
He's
you
like
just
a squirrel.
Yeah. And so that'd be like a particularly busy week, and then I come in on Saturday, and there'd be like I could be doing all this stuff, but just because it's quiet, like I would just sit down and like light up a cigar and like have coffee, read or something.
Yeah, that's the best.
And then Bob would come. Yeah, that's great. But like at some point during the shift, like I would just like be talking to Bob or Ted or someone, and I just like look up and like I haven't done anything in like 3 hours. Yeah. Like I've just been sitting here doing nothing for 3 hours, and then you feel bad. You're like, I gotta fucking do something. You just like find something to do. And so, but like when you work nights, it's not that way. It's just always helping customers. Yeah, it's like helping customers, and maybe you find some time to like downstock or whatever. But yeah, like sometimes it just be like most of the stuff is downstocked, no shipments. So really, you just have to like find shit to keep yourself busy sometimes. Like I will clean this thing that doesn't really need to be cleaned, but I'll just clean it.
Yeah, basically that shift is like geared towards maintenance. Yeah, really. If someone's like maintenance minded, you can operate the shop pretty well. And for me, I think it's going to be like mentally, I have to prepare myself to not be angry at people when stuff goes awry. Yeah. Because in reality, I'm not really organizing anything. I'm throwing stuff away. Yeah. And that's all it is. And that's just a small upkeep. So try not to like prepare myself, because I know things are going to get messed up. It always does. And not to be in that trap of like, what the fuck are these people doing? Yeah. Like, yeah, it's going to get messed up.
I just organized this top stock. I just cleaned out this fucking drawer behind the counter.
Yeah, it's going to get messed up so I have to just prepare myself for that.
Sometimes, though, it's like you do something and it's like, you remember that fucking table that used to sit against the fridge and it always just had like a clusterfuck of shit on it? Like, so one day I was just like, you know what? I bet you no one will notice if I fucking throw this thing. I just took the whole table and everything and just threw it right in the trash. And I was just like...
That's what I've been doing.
And I'm just like, no one will notice and no one will fucking care. And then like, and now it's permanently gone. Yeah. There's like not a thing there now. Yeah. And that's satisfying when you can look over and be like, you can't mess that up because it's not there to mess up anymore.
Yeah, it's like, you're not going to miss anything. No one's touched it for 6 months. Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. You're not going to care. Yeah. So, it's just... We just have like a surplus of things. I'm like, do we really need like 2 boxes of these things? No, I'm just threw it away. Yeah. So you're not gonna miss it. So.
Yeah, that's what it was like when I cleaned the back room out. It's like there was so much stuff back there that I was like, this is going and this is going and this is trash and this is going and this is going and this is going and this is going. This is gone. Like it was like fucking like an entire dumpster's worth of stuff that just got tossed. Yeah. And then cleaned and disinfected and like.
it is super satisfying to see your, fruits of your labor, but it's like I don't want to do this all the time because I always go in cycles of like things are just where they are when I have it, and then I get something up my ass and I organize everything, and for the next month or so, everything's clean.
Yeah,
but you get but you get in the gear of like when you're too busy, your mind's just all over the place, so you're just not as mindful as you were before.
It gets to be there's a spot where you'd like it to be, which is everything is neat and perfectly in a place, and that's ideal.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't stay that way. But it gets to be a problem where it's like now you can't find anything, right? And if you can't find something when you need it, that's when it's a problem. Maybe it's not in the perfect spot and it's not perfectly organized, but you have a rough idea of where it is and you can find it within a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
When you know that there is something in the shop, like I know we have another label maker,
mm-hmm.
and you just can't fucking find it.
Yeah.
Like there is a second one.
Yeah.
I know there's a second one.
Uh-huh.
This one is broken, and I know there's more tape for it.
Uh-huh.
I know that there's another label maker, and you can search for half a day and to not find it. That's when it's like too much.
Yeah.
Like most of the time it's going to be when it gets to that critical mass where like you can't find anything and everything is in disarray. You just want to tamp it down. Even if you don't tamp it all the way down to completely organized, if you just tamp it down enough, then the shop can function in a way that was like satisfactory, even if not perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been like kind of my idea of organization is like not having, because there's lots of stuff that's layered. Like when you stack up stuff onto a shelf, people like to stack things behind things. I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
I like
one
to be able
to
item.
see everything on the shelf.
Yeah, I can just pick it up. I don't have to move anything. Just pick it up. I look into my toolbox at work. I pick it up. I know where everything is. I don't have to rummage through stuff.
I don't mind stacking things up. Like if there's something here and I can put something on top of it. But when I get if I can't see visually, if I can't see. If I can't see everything that's on the shelf,
mm-hmm.
then it's like overcrowded.
Yes.
It's like you should be able to look at all the things. I'm the same way with things in my refrigerator, and it's not very practical. I try to I want to be able to like see everything in the fridge, and it's you can't really do it that way as much.
No.
I don't mean like that there's only one thing deep, but like if you have a jar.
Do you have it like tallest items in the back?
Yeah, so that I can see them.
Not good.
I try to do that, like so I can see when I have stuff.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah, the items like, the carton of milk things can go in front of that, like a thing of sandwich meat and cheese can go in front of it. Because if I push that sandwich meat to the back of the fucking fridge, I might forget that it's there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, we have this.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the danger. I find that's always the danger, the double-edged sword of vegetable crispers, no? Because vegetable crispers really do keep stuff a lot longer,
mm-hmm.
but you also are just almost certainly going to forget that some stuff is in there.
That's true.
Like, it lasts 3 times longer if it's in the vegetable crisper, but like every now and again you'll go to get something out of there and you'll be like, oh, this is lettuce, it's all brown and slimy, and you're like, ugh, like I forgot we had lettuce.
Yeah, but yeah, generally for me I keep like produce like the day of. Mm-hmm. Like I go shopping and I cook it right away, so that's not that big of an issue for me. But yeah,
but you don't cook all of everything, do you?
Well, because I'm a meal prepper, so everything happens at one time.
No, but what I'm saying, okay, so like tonight I made salmon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Salmon.
Tonight I made salmon. And so salmon requires that I use lemon. Like 1 lemon's worth. Now, sometimes I can go and just get a lemon,
mm-hmm.
but often they're just like a bag of like 5 or 6 lemons. I'm not going to use all the lemons in one go, so I stick them in a vegetable crisper because I will make something with lemon. But in the vegetable crisper.
It's not a vegetable. Why does it belong?
It's a crisper, though.
But it's for vegetable, though.
It's not just for vegetables.
It's vegetable.
For anything that you want to keep.
No.
Any sort of produce can go in.
No.
Well, where does the fruit go then?
It just goes on your counter.
Now, that's a surefire way for it to go bad fast.
That's why you use it right away.
But lemons, dude. How frequently do you use lemons? Like, I get if it's like oranges. Like you eat fucking oranges. Like, I'll eat 5 oranges a day sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Like, fucking just go through them.
Uh-huh.
But something like a lemon or a lime, right? Like I eat every, like, maybe a couple times a week I use it on something. And so, like, I'm not picking up a lemon and, like, peeling it, like, eating it. So it's like, it'll go bad within, like, 2 or 3 days. And I'm not going to use, like, 5 lemons in, like, less than a week.
That's why I make lemon bars, bro.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just, or like limes. I buy limes to make the old lady gimlets. So I keep stuff like that in the vegetable crisper because I don't But yeah, like usually
it doesn't belong in there.
Then why?
It doesn't belong. It just has a name, and it's for vegetables.
Is it technically called a vegetable crisper?
Yeah, it has a label on it.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, at work I have one that says vegetable crisper, or vegetable drawer.
What difference does it make if you put fruit in there?
They label it there, so just keep it that way, bro.
So you don't put anything in the door of your fridge that's not a condiment?
No, not really.
Nothing.
Not really.
It's only condiments.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. I just put things in the door that feel like they go in the door. You know?
Usually you, man.
Or you don't ever put anything in the little butter spot that's like not butter?
No, actually.
Only butter goes in there.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Has a place, and it lives there.
No, the butter does live there. But other things can live there too. Chick-fil-A sauce, for instance, lives there.
Wow. You're crazy, man.
All right. Well, you know. I shoot from the hip when it comes to organization of my fridge. Anyway,
so, wow, man. This guy likes to party, I can tell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's something you probably didn't know about me, is that I live life on the edge. I live dangerously.
It's like those weirdos that put like their cutter and lighter in their humidor. It doesn't need to humidify. Fucking weirdos.
I just always assume that's just so you remember where it is.
I just put it right next. Well, I don't even keep. I keep it in my bag, so I don't. Really...
I keep mine in my bag too, and generally speaking, if I have it in my pocket, well, usually I have a lighter. I have like a cigar box that I put all of like my loose change in, my wallet and my bandana and like my pocket knife, and I just put all that shit in there when I get home. And so I usually have one in there. I have a lighter in there, a lighter in my bag, and a lighter in every pocket of every coat I own. So I'm just like, that's why you ever see me like not have a lighter and just be super irritated? It's because I have so many lighters, and they're just like, there should be one in a pocket of every coat. Like, yeah, a pocket. Like, I think I've dwindled some of them. I think some of them broke. But I used to keep one out on the patio where I smoke, one in the cigar box on my console table, and one in my bag, and one in every pocket of my coat. I think I have 4 or 5 coats. And so it was like, anytime I didn't have a lighter, I would just be like, well, how can I not? It's like when I don't have a pen, right? I'm a fucking journalist.
Yeah.
I have pens everywhere. And so if I need to write something down and I don't have a pen, like I just get super irritated because I'm always trying to like make sure that there's just like, I'm never more than like 6 feet away from a pen.
Yeah. Well, for me, like at the machine shop, like you have basic tools that every machinist should have. They should have like a micrometer, calipers, and all that stuff. And then when I can't find mine because someone took mine,
this goes back
because they couldn't use because they don't know where theirs is.
Don't take my shit.
And it's annoying. I was like, I have to ask people for my shit. We're like, what the fuck?
But at least you can blame that on other people, right?
That's even more annoying. It's like, don't touch it. I don't even touch yours. Just keep it there.
See, I think it's more annoying when I fail myself.
That's your fault.
When I let myself down. That's why I'm annoyed, because like I take precautions. Like I don't use Carmex that frequently. But almost every time I really need Carmex, I don't fucking have it.
Yeah.
So I always keep Carmex in my bag. There are things like that I keep in my bag all the time, because it seems like every time I need it,
it's like ladies with tampons.
Yeah, I don't need one. I have fucking thousands of them that are falling out all over the place, right? But so yeah, so I like. But if I don't have it, then I'm like irritated because it's just like I have no one to blame but myself, and that's annoying because I'm trying to be conscientious about like making sure that I have.
Or like you have an important item, is like, I'm gonna leave it right next to the door, so for sure that's the last thing I see when I leave.
Yeah. And
then you're in your car, you're driving halfway there, it's like, fuck! I forgot it.
You ever move something that you need to take with you right before you leave? Like I'll put my lunch on the console table or something, and I'll like move it out of the way to like get my wallet out of the cigar box and then just leave. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
I've done that a couple times.
It's just done dumb shit like that. It's like just,
or like you forget, and like the whole, like you like lunch, for example. It's like, that lunch is really good. You're like looking forward to it.
I don't have it though.
And it's like, what the fuck? Like I put it myself.
I've almost left to come down here to podcast. I left the podcast equipment at home.
Yeah. Did you actually leave it one time?
I think when I had a Loney, I think I left it. But I was like, fuck Jesus. Like leaving the podcast. And just left the shit there. I just leave it here now. I don't have to worry about that crap. But yeah.
So you got any cigar pro tips for us?
Yes.
Do it.
All right. So, if you're straight cutting your cigar,
it's not a big old queer cutter.
Straight cut, teardrop cutter. And you're cutting a regular flat cap or round cap cigar, not a bellicose or a torpedo. I've been noticing this a lot lately. This is actually what made me realize that, like, yeah, I should do this as a tip because I don't know. Like, it's one of those things you assume everybody knows, and then you show it to somebody that you assume knows it, and they're like, oh, it's fucking awesome. Why didn't I ever think of that? Like, I don't know. So you just lay your cutter flat if you don't have a training wheels cutter on a flat surface, put your cigar in it, and just clip it, and it will clip the cap off perfectly. You won't clip off more. It's amazing to me how many people that smoke cigars a lot like have problems with their wrapper unraveling at the cap. It's like, how long have you been smoking cigars? I don't understand.
They're not very conscientious about like what they're doing. Like they light the wrapper, like they're lighting a cigar. Instead of lighting the end of the cigar, they kind of like toast the wrapper first and then go at it. Like, dude, what the fuck?
Oh, like so it like balloons over the end and like the flames are like
licking over the
licking
edge.
over the
it's like
it's just like that's horrible. Yeah, but I agree that some people just aren't conscientious. But I've seen people cut it off like, oh, this is coming unraveled, like, and they'll like complain about it.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay,
user error. I'm sorry, I can't fix that.
No, I can fix it by giving you this tip, and hopefully maybe
the tip.
Give him the tip. Don't tell my old lady though. Whoa. So yeah, it's a pro tip of the week, or amateur tip of the week, or cigar smoking tip of the week.
Sure.
Just like thumb the tip in. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So what's been grinding you? Oh, where is it?
Hang on.
Whoa.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Cigar ratings. Speaking of more cigar stuff. Like every time I read a fucking...
Is a 9.2 really better than 9.15?
No, see, most of them are on a scale to 100. But it's just basically like 88 to 93, so why not just 1 to 5? Like, if you're never going to rate anything below 88, why ever...
Are you talking about, like, more cigar aficionados rating?
Well, today I was looking at Cigar Snob, and they were the same thing. It was like, all these cigars, and they're just all like 88 to like 93 at the highest. Well,
some of the rating systems, there's like, does it light?
Is it a cigar?
Is it made of tobacco? It gets these many points for these many things, like going to SATs and you putting your name down, you get points for that.
Yeah.
So that's like
a disproportionate amount of points. It's like hundreds of points. It's like, okay, that's just... Is it just testing whether you're like retarded? You're just not retarded, so you can get... So why not just not do that?
Yeah.
What are you trying to measure? Like, a scale is useless if it's not actually trying to measure something.
And it's so... The whole numbering system is not that great to begin with. I think a better scale would be like recommendations. Like, is this a single buy? Is this picking up a $5? Is this worth picking up a box? Or trying once? Or passing? That's a better gauge of how good the cigar is.
But I can see the flip side of that argument, which is, let's take something like the Buenaventura. The Buenaventura is buy a couple boxes of them. But certainly not because of its overall quality and flavor necessarily, right? You wouldn't compare it to something like Padrones, right? Like, so I get that there's like some, like, I think those recommendations would be helpful, but I get having like some sort of star system or scale system that like is just an indicator of pure quality. It's not quality balanced with price and construction. It's just a flavor metric. How flavorful is the cigar? And maybe if it's got... Because most cigars are fine construction. They're fine. And if it's particularly horrible, maybe you dock at some fucking points or whatever, because it's just... I had to relight and this, that, and the other. But, you know, cost plays in, and aesthetic plays in, too. Like, how nice does the cigar look? The presentation, all that stuff. But it's important to just get an idea of, like, what the sheer quality of it is. I mean, just, like, experientially, like how enjoyable and flavorful is the cigar. I mean, I don't think it's as useful as just like reading what kind of notes it has, but even that is like could go either way. You know, like sometimes I read stuff,
and the whole thing with like having a singular kind of rater is difficult too, because they could give it a 99% or 99 points on their scale.
Yeah,
because it's so subjective on what their palate likes. Sure. Compared to like that's not a 99. How could that be a 99? So it's like almost like some cigar reviewers have like the power of like, not the power of, but like they get a general consensus from a group of people getting the cigars, take down notes, pare it down to like the basic tasting notes.
Yeah.
Whether or not they taste good, that's subjective, right? So, but those notes are present in the cigar, and that might fit your profile.
Right. Because even if you just read the notes,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it doesn't necessarily comment. Like you can have two cigars that have a similar flavor profile, but they hit the same notes, but they don't hit them in the same way. One of them hits them in a very pleasant way, and the other one doesn't. And for whatever reason, it's hard to capture that
Mm-hmm.
without quantifying it. You're trying to qualify it, right? I agree that qualifier is more important than quantifier. I see the need for like some quantitative measure. I'm not trashing that, but I'm just saying, like, is an 88?
Yeah,
is that blasting a cigar? Is that terrible?
I don't know.
That's what I mean. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You see the 93 and you know that it's good, but the 88, like, is that just like, what's the baseline for that? Is that like just like it was fine, or is that putting it on blast? Because I don't ever see ratings that are like in the 70s or 60s. Like, how come they certainly can't only review cigars that are good?
Yeah.
You know, I would love...
Only watch good movies.
I mean, I guess if you just had a super sophisticated, like, knowledge of cigars and you never even deigned to pick up something and were surprised at how bad it was,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. But, I mean, maybe they only put those in there, like, but you see the same cigars kind of popping up every now and again. And,
Mm-hmm.
when something is new, it usually pops up, and it's like, it would just be refreshing
Yeah,
for them to like put something in there that like just gets a bad rating. Because to me, it's it would increase their credibility to the point where it was like, oh, you don't mind actually saying something is bad, and it's just as important to build that trust with your readership, to steer them away from things that you think are bad as much as steer them toward things that you think are really good. Because everybody's always steering everybody toward things that they think are good. There's a financial incentive to that. But steering people away from bad stuff is, I would say, in recommendations, is probably just as important.
Mm-hmm.
I like to just be like, yeah, don't smoke that. Don't even waste your money on it. Like, it's just terrible, right?
Well, I think because, like, especially magazines like Cigar Aficionado and, well, that's basically it for me. But they're just advertisement arms of, you know, cigar brands, basically.
Sure, some of them, but I mean, even most of the online places that
I kind of wonder if they get like payola, like from cigar companies, like just review the cigar, just get like, top 10 maybe.
But here's the thing: is they can't be when you set that the scale goes up to 93. No one's paying for an 88. You wouldn't think. I mean, maybe it's just that you're featuring the cigar. Maybe that is worth something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, you know, it's basically at that point it's a 1 to 5 scale, and you get an 88, you're a 1.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that means it's bad because I don't ever see anything that's below that. So to me, 88 is bad.
Yeah.
And especially when you're talking about like 1 to 2, it's like, well, it's an order of magnitude better.
Mm-hmm.
But like 88 to 89 is like, well, that you're talking about you've set the bars at 100-point scale.
Mm-hmm.
So what difference does 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 points make?
In
Nothing.
reality, when the scale is only like 30 points, really.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's the thing that sales, it's a sales technique, right? Anchoring price. If a car is priced at $12,000, that's increments of 12. So you're negotiating in thousands. But if something's priced at $99.99, there's a 99 cents. So that price negotiating increment is basically a penny, and that favors the seller big time. Because it's, you know, but you're talking about, you set it at a 100-point scale. you're talking about the difference between a 91 and a 93 is like negligible in quality if you never use the scale below 88 and effectively. But if you did really just have it 1 to 5, like a 1 to 5 stars, then it would just be, at least 2 stars would be in order. Each star would be an order of tornadoes, right? Like an F5 tornado is significantly stronger than an F4 tornado.
Yeah, that's why like the Michelin star rating is like highly coveted, because it's not a very big.
There's only 3.
There's only 3 of them, right, so like getting 1 is great because compared to every other restaurant that doesn't have one. Yeah, it's the big shit.
It's you're just getting a Michelin star puts you in like the top 1% of restaurants like in the world. And then it's like, and then it's so much hard. It's just as hard to go from like 1 to 2 as it is from like none to 1, damn near. And to get 3 is like fucking unheard of. Yeah. And it's, I mean, sure, the genesis of that was kind of silly, and but what it's become is that it has a lot of cachet, and so you just kind of go with whatever iteration is going on. I mean, it is kind of weird that it's like a tire company.
It is so weird that that's where it started from. Well, it's the same thing with like Guinness Book of World Records, right? It started by
people just started gaming the system, and they just started like, there's no record for this yet, so if I just do it, I'll be in the book.
Yeah, or even like the silliness of like a beer company making this, record keeping company.
Oh yeah. The fact that the Guinness, like, it's a beer company is like, and then to make matters worse, they don't have any drinking records.
Oh, they don't? I didn't know that.
They're not allowed to, just like food competitive eating too. For the longest time, I don't know how it is now, but for the longest time, the only competitive food eating thing that you could have in the Guinness Book of Records was baked beans 1 at a time with a toothpick. Because they just don't want to encourage people to, like, you have a lawsuit on your hands. People just really fucking fuck themselves up and fuck their health up doing stuff like that.
I drink the most Guinness in a 24-hour period.
Exactly. You don't want to incentivize people to get just really, really fucked up. Yeah. Because they will die. And that's not good. Like, oh, the crazy, just like, how high of a cliff can I, like, jump off of and land on my head and live? Like, that's the world record.
Don't they have a record for, like, tallest dive into a kiddie pool? They have a record for that, I know that.
Do they?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like one they would allow.
I'm pretty sure it's Guinness. I have to take a look. But it's pretty freaky.
Yeah, and it's just like one of those things where it's like, you could set a record in anything that they didn't have a record in already, and so it just kind of started to lose its cachet. It's like, oh, well.
Yeah, people are just gaming it.
Yeah. So I have the Guinness record for whatever, this thing. It's like...
standing on one leg.
Right. Because it used to be, when I was a kid, I remember like elementary school, you actually had the hard copy of the Guinness records, and you'd be looking up shit, and there'd be sports records in there and shit.
That was like the hype shit, like book fair. It was like, Guinness Book of World Records, bro.
You guys didn't have Book It out here, did you? Like a reading program, yeah. It was like Book It, and you'd like get these books, and it'd be like basically like a book fair. You go and you could get books, and you'd like earn points for reading books, and then there was like a little catalog, Scholastic, I think did it, and you could like send away and get books. I always got the Calvin.
Was I the only kid that liked the smell of the catalogs?
Oh no, it's good. It's like a weird like lacquer fucking sweetness to it.
Yeah, it's like kind of like not baseball, like comic book cards. It has that UV coating on it. Yeah, and like the smell of it is like, ooh, hey.
Yeah. Like I said, I always just get the Calvin and Hobbes anthologies. It's where like Far Side anthologies and shit.
Yeah. So what you been watching? Reading?
Didn't you have something that was irritating you?
Yeah, fucking allergies.
Oh yeah,
fucking allergies. I don't know what it is. I don't know what triggers this allergies.
Oh, it's pollen in the air.
No.
Cats in your case, dander.
Yeah. No, but it's like a. It's like sneezing to the point where I could, if I had a bad back, I think I would throw it out. That's how bad. Like I literally have to go to sleep because I expend so much energy sneezing, and it's yeah, I'm just like fucking tired, and you're like abs are hurting, like throat's all fucked up, and it's bad. I don't know what triggers it. I thought I figured it out with like what to take, like when I feel it coming on, because like Claritin doesn't work, Benadryl doesn't work.
Your eyes get scratchy and watery, or is it just...
No, it's just sneezing. Huh. And then my like sinuses get inflamed and all that stuff. That's always fun.
I always sneeze really badly, like anytime I have like like a rogue nose hair. Like, I was gonna get that.
Nope.
It's like, hoof,
No.
hoof, hoof, hoof.
And that's not a good thing to have allergies, really bad allergies during COVID, because people just get freaked the fuck out.
Yeah, well, good.
Yeah.
That means people don't have to talk to you anymore. It's I got another thing for what really grinds my gears.
Oh yeah.
Is watching the show, which we'll get to in the next segment, I guess. But it really bugs me when people say that their SOs are their best friends.
They could be.
No, they can't. They're different things.
So
They're different things.
They could be.
But they can't. No, they can't. It's like saying my mother is my father. Like, that just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, it's just...
I married my best friend.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You decided retroactively that they were your best friend because you just want to like them the most. But there's no overlap in the Venn diagram of friends, lovers, right? And if you're placing it on a hierarchy, lover wins because there's just one for most people. So it's like they're all the things you like, and then there's sexy time, and then you have friends, and they're like, some of the things you like, and there's no sexy time. So it's like a different thing, and it just really fucking irks me when people like are insistent. That's such and such is my best friend. It's like, oh yeah, so you've been dating this guy for fucking like 2 months, and I've been your friend for 30 years, and like suddenly they just win. They're just the trump card. It's like a way of just saying like just fuck our friendship. It like whatever. It's just so fucking stupid.
It's better, bro.
It might be better, but it's different.
They're the bestest of my friends.
Hey, what's your favorite kind of meat? Oh, cucumbers. Well, cucumbers aren't a kind of meat, so they can't be your favorite kind of meat. No, but they just are. They just are. I decided. I get to decide what my favorite kind of meat is. Like, you do, but within the set of meat. Within the set of the fucking thing that we're talking about. Like, your friends and your lovers are just different. They're just different things. Like, you have different feelings about them. And operationally, they're different. Like, you do different... They share different things with them. It's like calling your family your friends. They're not. They're your family. No matter how much you like them, they're still family. They'll always be family. They'll never be your friends.
Family's forever.
Yeah. Blood. I don't know. Just fucking irks me.
Well, I've heard people like they're so close to their siblings. They're like their best buds. Like, they just so happen to be related.
Right. But you also say, if you're really close to a friend, you'd be like, he's like a brother to me.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't say that he is your brother.
He's my brother, man.
I mean, colloquially, I mean, like, it's my brother right here. Brother, what's up, brother? But like, not literally. It just doesn't make it. It's just a fucking nonsensical thing to go on about. Like, okay, they're just separate things, and I don't know why you're like insisting that they're not different things.
You should just arrest the people that say that, huh?
It just undermines the whole...
Just arrest them.
It undermines the whole concept of, like, what is a friend and what is a lover and how do they differ. Like, it's just totally just like, oh, it's just like, whatever I like. That's what it is. Like, just whatever I like, that's I just decide it's all the things.
You have a lot of rules.
What's that?
You have a lot of rules. It can't happen that way. Even though it says vegetable crisper, I can put anything I want in it because I deemed it so.
Sure.
I don't know.
But if you
just have a lot of rules.
If you asked me what my favorite vegetable was, I wouldn't give you a fucking fruit.
But you'll put fruit in the vegetable crisper.
Sure. Fine. That would be like if you wanted to have sex with your friends. That would be fine. If you just like, they're just not my boyfriend or girlfriend. I find it hard to believe because I think that's a distinguishing characteristic of a romance. Like,
just bang out.
If you start having sex with someone, you have some romantic feelings for them. I don't know how else to delineate evidence of that shy of like you're willing to have sex with them. Because there's no amount of affection that I could feel for you that would ever make me want to have sex with you. Ever.
I don't think I want that.
Yeah, I don't want that either. No matter how close we ever get. So there's a very clear definition of what constitutes a friend.
I love you too, dog. Yeah.
Let's get married. Fuck yeah.
Okay. I got sidetracked with that one. I don't know why you're so upset about that. Who cares?
It's just annoying.
Who cares? They want to call them their best friend, so what?
Well, they're just wrong.
This is my dog, Frank. You can't give dogs, animals, people names. They're not peoples. I don't know.
No. It would be like if you called your dog your friend. Wouldn't that just undermine
Man's best friend?
But you don't call
your best buds.
You don't call you colloquially or
best
just
buds.
Categorically, but you don't say like, "Oh, this is my friend." My friends, Mikey, Chris, and Batman the Cat.
Yeah.
Like that makes no fucking.
That'd be pretty sick.
You'd be like, "He's your pet, dude." It's like a different thing. Like, no, I can decide what my friend is.
Or they call their animals their roommates. Like, well, not really. They don't pay rent.
Right, roommates pay rent.
Feed them.
And they like do dishes and stuff. Like this is a loafer like that you think is cute. It's not the same thing as a roommate.
It's my fur baby. Come on.
Moving on.
It's my fur baby.
Your food. What is Meat Eater?
Meat Eater is a television show. It's about honey, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty much the...
Wait, it's about honey?
Hunting.
Oh, hunting.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said it's about honey. I'm like, that's not what I would have thought it was about at all.
Bears love honey.
Bees and shit.
Yeah.
Like, we are meat eaters. Oh, anyway, go on.
Basically, like, to what Anthony Bourdain did for Travel and Food, I think the same can go for Steve Rinella, what he's doing with his show, Meat Eater. It's like a lot of traveling all over the Americas, basically. Talking to, like, hunting stuff on solo trips, or maybe going to outfitters or hunting guides. And then them showing kind of like the culture around hunting in their area, them tracking animals and like kind of environmental stuff that's happening along with it.
Tracking? What? No, you just go set up a camp to get really drunk, and then when something moves in the bushes, you just shoot a bunch of bullets at it. That's hunting.
Yeah, actually, yeah, he's very different because he's like very much on. He's big on public land hunting and what do they call it? It's, not trapping and baiting. It's like a free hunting, basically. Like you spot and stalk stuff rather than setting up traps or baiting.
Free range hunting.
Yeah, pretty much free range hunting, I guess. So he's like really big into that.
It's got a high survival skill.
Yes. Okay. So it's a very interesting show. It's very, I don't know. I like it a lot. There's even episodes where he doesn't kill anything and he just talks about like he's like big on like wild man history and like famous trappers and all that stuff.
Do you have the Nuge on his show?
Huh?
You have the Nuge on his show?
What?
The Nuge.
Oh, no.
No?
No.
That guy's a big hunter.
Yeah, he's kind of the opposite of that. Ted Nugent's big into like high fence operations, baiting and
oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's really big into that. He's more into the Ted Nugent's more into like just like the thrill of the hunt. I don't know how to explain. He's kind of just like that kind of. I perceive him as a person that like you would actually see like Billy Bob trying to hunt animals. Look at this guy. Look at this big guy.
I think that's just kind of a lot of his demeanor comes off that way. But I think if you've ever heard him like speak about, I mean, I don't know much about his methods, but I know that he is like a big conservationist and he is like, you know, like pretty serious about it and like not as much of a wild man as you would think he would be. But yeah, I don't know anything about his methods, so maybe his methods differ.
Yeah,
a lot.
So I suggest like watching an episode or two and see what you think about it. I really enjoy it.
Where does it play?
On Netflix. I don't know where it originally aired. It's probably like the Outdoor Network or something like that.
They have an Outdoor Network?
Yeah.
It's a little ironic.
I don't name these things. I'm just reporting them.
Well, no, there's a network for people that love the outdoors so they can sit indoors and watch about the outdoors. It's kind of it's like a TV show about books.
Well, it's like people...
a TV show where we read books to you. What?
Or like even cooking shows. That's ridiculous too. You watch people cook.
Yeah,
like,
but
you can't just do that at home.
Yeah,
after this break, I'm gonna flip that burger.
Yeah, yeah, I get that, but Outdoor Network is like literally if you're really that into the outdoors, you have to be indoors to watch television. It's a pretty crisp delineation, right? It's
no, you can be in an RV outside watching.
No, you'd be indoors though.
No, you'd be outside.
how could you be outside and watch? I mean, I guess there's ways to like hook up stuff so you can sit
There's
outside.
people watching outside right now.
But in general, people watch television indoors. It's like the thing that you do indoors. And so it's like the outdoor network of like. Anyway, go on. Did you get turned onto that because you were watching No Reservations too?
No, that. Well, okay. The thing with like after Anthony Bourdain died, I just didn't watch anything anymore. I didn't watch any No Reservations or whatever he did for CNN. I just kind of stopped. Like, wasn't really into the mood of it. Just bummed out about the situation. And the Chromecast is on kind of busted, so they had the Roku. Decided to put shout out to Pluto TV. It's pretty dope. Like they have basically have a channel called Adventure TV, and it's basically No Reservation 24/7. That's all they play. They have like Glory Kickboxing 24/7, Bellator MMA 24/7, Motorsports. They have different channels basically. It's an app that has like.
Oh, so they just have like all these channels that are just like one thing. Mm-hmm. Like if you like.
Yeah, they got like mystery, horror, thrillers, all that stuff. It's pretty dope. They have commercials, so it's like watching like live TV. I don't have cable, so it's a nice little like.
But it's all themed. I wish they had like a Three Stooges station. I always remember wishing that they had that when I was a kid.
They have like those old classic stuff. I gotta check what the listings are.
Yeah, I mean I have all the Three Stooges now, but like when I was a kid, anytime they'd like play Three Stooges, there'd be like a marathon on or something. I'd be like, oh, I'm fucking in for this like all night. Right?
Yeah.
Fucking 4 Marx Brothers movies in a row. Fuck, I'm not going anywhere all night.
So yeah, just watching because they had the Pluto TV and they had the Adventure TV. Probably watched like 2 or 3 hours of No Reservations. I was like, yeah, God damn.
I never really got into
so
that
good.
show. I mean, I like it, what I've seen of it, but I never like every time I watch an episode, I'm like, oh, I like this show.
Yeah.
But then like I never sat down and like dug deep into it.
Huh.
Like I'm more aware of Anthony Bourdain's persona from watching Top Chef than I am from watching No Reservations.
No, I never watched Top Chef, so I don't know.
He was like a judge, like a recurring guest judge, and people would talk about him a lot because I guess he's notoriously grouchy.
Yeah, it's not full of shit. It's like, oh, check out this cool travel while we hang out with these people.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, I'm not really into this. This is kind of bullshit. Because they went to the Azores and it's like the typical tourist trappings, like, oh, check out these hot springs that we have at the Azores. Oh, look, we're boiling eggs. It's not like I can boil an egg in my own kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, boiled eggs, yum.
Yeah, so it was like that's what he was known for. Like he would be a judge and he'd be judging the food because apparently he eats food all over the world, and so he's kind of notoriously hard to impress. So like if you got it was like a big thing with the contestants. If you got like a kudos from Anthony Bourdain, it was like a fucking Michelin star. Right? It was like fuck yeah, crushed it.
It's like Michael Jordan's like, it's pretty good dribbling skills, kid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Not bad, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? How have you been watching?
Well, we were watching Diana had never seen Coupling, so we went through that whole series. It's British Friends.
Okay.
It's like a more adult. I don't know. It's weird because it's rated PG according to the thing, but maybe just BBC has different standards. But like, it's a more adult version and British of Friends. Yeah. And so there's 4 seasons of it, but they're BBC seasons. So they're like 6
series.
episodes.
I'm sorry, series.
Well, they say seasons on the thing. Well, I don't know. They say season. They say season. They say season.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I don't know. Like, yes, they do call them series, but on Prime they're called seasons. So there's like 4 series or whatever, and the 4th one not so great. Kind of peters off, but the first 3 are definitely worth watching.
Bring this kid Urkel. I don't know.
I think it's funnier than Friends.
Oh, is it?
But it was on the air the same time as Friends and Seinfeld. It was it's off like the British show that's compared to the American comparisons to it are usually Friends and Seinfeld. And then apparently I learned reading up on it a little bit that the showrunner is Stephen Moffat, actually.
Oh, really?
Of Doctor Who and Sherlock fame. Right, so he does comedy, and it's based on one of the main characters is named Steve, and one of the main characters is named Susan. And he had a relationship, he might even have married, he can still be married to, I didn't really look that deep into it, this other television producer, and her name is Susan. So the main two characters are based on like all the idiosyncrasies and like gender differences while they were dating, and they were both producers on the show. And I'll say that it comes through in the writing. Like they a lot like How I Met Your Mother or other shows. It has like a lot of things that are crisp gender distinctions and attitudes that men have about women and women have about men, dealt with in a lighthearted way.
You know, watched Spaced?
Spaced?
Yeah, it was that duo of the director and what's his name from Shaun of the Dead,
Edgar Wright.
And I don't know the other guys.
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, there we go. That was like their first big project. I guess they did, and I guess I hear a lot of comparisons with Friends.
I think I've seen like an episode or two of that.
Okay.
But I learned they did an American coupling, but apparently got canceled after like 3 or 4 episodes.
Oh yeah.
And they were just basically replicating the same plots from the British. And
so try Office. They do it there. Do it here.
I think it was just probably too close on the heels of Friends, and it just felt too much like a knockoff. But I think it's not as long of a run, but I think the humor hits better.
Remember they had like that 70s show, and then they had that 90s show?
That 80s show.
Oh, was it 80s?
Yeah.
I thought it was 90s.
That was 80s.
Huh, okay.
It was like none of the same characters, none of the same writers, none of the same anything, same network.
Yeah.
And I think it didn't even last a full season, did it?
I don't think so.
It got crushed. It was right around the same time that, what's his name?
They should make that 90s show. That'd be kind of weird. Yeah. It's like the right amount of spacing between like when we watched it in the 90s versus that 70s show. Even longer.
I think that was the 80s show was just like a cash grab, big time. It was just like remember.
Joey had a spin-off, right?
Oh yeah, remember the 80s? It's like, no, you still gotta have most of that 70s show humor is not derived from the fact that it takes place in the 70s. It just kind of happens to be an aside, and so that's why people that didn't grow up in the 70s can appreciate it or like it or whatever, because it had some interesting things going on in it, some fairly good writing for a sitcom, I think.
Yeah,
especially
I never watched an episode.
It's pretty decent. I mean, I'm pretty hard on sitcoms in general, but it's probably on par with. It's probably a click down from like How I Met Your Mother, which to me is on the same level as like Friends and what's the other big sitcom. Everybody likes it, but so it's probably it's better than like New Girl, or but probably on par with How I Met Your Mother. Like it's probably not quite as good as that show, and not nearly as good as Seinfeld, which I think is unequivocally like the best sitcom. Curb is up there too because it's basically the same thing. So
basically,
yeah. So, or even like I would say Silicon Valley is a pretty good sitcom. All things considered. It's just hard for me to really get into sitcoms. But
would you even consider anything that's a one camera versus, because like traditionally like sitcoms are 3 camera shows, right? So once they take away that aspect of it, do you consider it still a sitcom?
I don't think sitcom is necessarily a formalistic thing. It's a plot thing. It's dealt with in the framing of the writing. So, I mean, that's why I don't even know that I would necessarily consider Silicon Valley a sitcom, because it's not.
It's not the same kind of format as other, because there's a through line.
Exactly. There's much more of a through line.
Yeah. So that's
not as siloed. Like where each instance is like a new instance.
Yeah, I guess like 30 Rock would be more along the lines of like a traditional sitcom, where it's kind of just like the wackiness of the week.
That's the other one I was trying to think of.
And but it's one camera. So.
But yeah,
that's probably the best example of that, I guess.
Right, but like where does Louis' FX show fit? Is that a sitcom? It's fucking really serious and dark at times.
Yeah, I don't think sitcoms are supposed to be that dark. Traditionally.
Yeah. But then what is it? It's not. It's like a dramedy. But certainly his first show is just a straightforward sitcom.
Was that Lucky Louie show?
Lucky Louie. Not nearly as good as Louie. It's just kind of like flat because he can't you can't put Louis C.K. in a show that has constraints like that. It just doesn't work. It's just, you know, it's a little like having Joe Rogan in Spin City or whatever, or news radio. Like, it's cool, like, to remember, like, oh yeah, he was in news radio, but it's just kind of a waste of his talents. You know, it's like he can't really.
Well, you didn't really know the potential of what he had going in his head. Like, he was just a, you know, oh, that Fear Factor guy.
Yeah, but he was a working comic at the time.
Yeah.
And so
he's one of those people, like, I really enjoy his, like, podcast, but, like, up until recently, I wasn't a big fan of his comedy. Like, the last two specials I really like, but anything after that, I'm like, it's alright.
I watched some of his comedy, like, in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I really liked it. And then, like, I kind of started watching some of his stuff, like, a little bit after that, and I didn't like it as much. And then when his podcast got big, I kind of went back to it. And then I was like, oh, yeah, his comedy's pretty good. I think that he's, you know, in that kind of, like, bottom of the top tier of comic. I mean, you know, the top tier is, you know, Chappelle and fucking Bill Burr. Like, those guys are, like, in a category by themselves. But you know, he's in the mix of guys that, like, you know their name, and, like, they're good. What's his name? Norton, is that his name?
Yeah, Jim Norton.
Jim Norton. I was confusing with Jim Jeffries. I was going to call him Jim Norton, and then I'm like, no, I'm taking the first name of one guy and the last name of another guy. Who's Jim Jeffries? He's a comedian too, but I don't.
He's Australian, I think.
I don't know.
He's pretty funny too. I've seen his stand up.
Yeah, I don't remember, like, who he is. Like, as far as, like, what his bits are and stuff like that. Like, the comedians I really like, I remember, and some that just, for whatever reason, I can remember, like, Tom Segura and, like, a few other people. And then I remember the guys I don't like Jim Gaffigan. I really don't like Jim Gaffigan.
Hot Pockets.
Yeah, and the Fluffy guy I really don't like, or the Jeff Dunham I really don't like, Larry the Cable Guy I really don't like. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of comics that are just kind of in the middle there that are, like, they're perfectly serviceable comics, but I don't really like, ooh, he's got a new special out. I'll watch this, I guess. It's fine.
So what else have you been watching?
I finally got around to watching Chernobyl.
Ew, that's fun.
Did you finish the whole thing?
No, I couldn't get through, because I watch it at night, and it's like a fucking bummer to watch that.
Dark.
It's super fucking dark. Like, I don't think I want to watch this well before I go to sleep.
Yeah, well, what you gotta do is you gotta watch an episode, like, when you're sitting down to watch TV, and watch one episode, and then you follow it up with something like coupling, right? Lighten the mood before you go to sleep.
Yeah, for me, I just watch one show, that's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, if I'm gonna sit down to watch something, usually it's like a movie, or it's like, you know, it's like 2 hours of media, so it's either a film, or it's a couple episodes of something, or, like, I'll watch an episode of Chernobyl and then watch a couple episodes of, like, a half an hour show, and then it's like, then the 2 hours is like, okay, that's enough media for the day. Yeah, it's good. I griped about the fucking Russian thing already.
Not on the podcast.
Just, it bugs me when it's like, you fucking have a show that takes place in Russia, and, like, not only were they not
like a Swedish accent, a fucking Irish accent,
a lot of British guys,
a British guy,
and they're just, like, being all British, and they don't even do the Hunt for Red October thing where it's like they pan across, like, they're speaking Russian, and then they pan across, and I'm like, okay, so just so you know, they are speaking Russian. But we're just gonna, like, put it in English for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not quite as bad. At least it's, because for me, what's weird is, like, they're speaking English, the King's English, no less, a lot of them. And then they'll have, like, documents or signs and stuff that are in Russian. And you're like, well, that's weird. I can't hand wave it away like when I watch a dub on Cowboy Bebop, and they're obviously in Japan, and there's, like, Japanese writing, and I'm like, okay, well, it's a dub, so I get it.
Yeah.
But it's not as annoying to me as Man in the High Castle, which is, like, the worst of both worlds. Like, sometimes the German guys speak German. And sometimes the German guys speak English. Mostly they speak English. And sometimes they speak German. And same thing with the Japanese guys. The Japanese guys mostly speak English and sometimes speak Japanese. And it's like, there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it. I could see, like, you're a Japanese dude speaking to another Japanese dude. You would speak in Japanese. Now, if you were a Japanese guy and you're speaking to a German guy, and you don't speak German, they don't speak Japanese, you both speak English, you speak English to each other. That makes sense. But like it's just all over the board. Like sometimes
you think it's just an assumption on the audience to say like, well, they're speaking to each other, so they might be just speaking Japanese or German.
But why even introduce the concept that sometimes they do speak Japanese and German? Like just
I don't know. I've never seen the show.
At least in Chernobyl, they're just always speaking English,
Yeah.
and you know they're supposed to be speaking Russian.
Mm-hmm.
And so like
maybe just like having it written in Russian is just to tell you like, yeah, it's in Russian.
Maybe it's more jarring because it's like they didn't even make an attempt to give the people that are speaking English Russian accents. They're like, well, here's the thing. Let me tell you a couple of things about RBKRY reactors.
Let me tell you, boyo.
And it's like, yeah. It's like, what? Like, yeah, it threw me off. The opening scene, like the actor that plays the main guy, the main physicist, he's an actor that is in Mad Men. And so I know who he is. He also plays Moriarty in the second Sherlock film. Mm-hmm. So, like, I know who he is. And he's British. He's very British. And so he's doing, like, this voice recording, and he's talking all British. And then, like, so I thought that the whole narrative was, like, he was a British guy in Russia. Mm-hmm. And there was some sort of, like, confluence of events that, like, for a reason that they drew some...
With movie magic, we're back!
Oh, it was crazy.
Well, that's crazy. So I said to Mabel, I said, hold on, we're back. Yeah. So back to Chernobyl.
Yeah, I don't know, give it like an 8.5.
What?
It's decent. It's only 5 parts. So that's cool.
Oh, you finished it?
Yeah, I finished it.
Oh, okay.
Just, like, cranked it out in like a week.
Would you be interested in listening to the podcast? They have like an accompanying podcast to it.
For Chernobyl?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that could be interesting, actually.
They do like the deep dive history of it, from what I understand, and yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it only kind of does a flyover.
Mm-hmm.
It gets into some details, and I think I told you that Diana watched a video where like this Russian physicist lady was like talking about some of the inaccuracies in it. And from what she said, from what Diana said about the lady on the video, she was like, apparently it's like most things are pretty accurate. Mm-hmm. There's a few things that are kind of like way off, but they're not as bad as you might like. They're pretty minor things, although they don't really change the trajectory of the plot that much, but they're just kind of like, it's like way off base.
Well, that whole thing that was surprising to me, what you told me when they looked down the shaft and all that fucking radiation is blasting those dudes in the face, like, oh, they didn't immediately just die.
Yeah.
Like, you can survive a couple days, but...
Well, they're not... I think it's because it's, like when it's coming up, it's like this column of radiation radiating up. Mm-hmm. They do deal with it later where they say, yeah, like if we fly over it, like it'll be really bad news. We'll be dead in a few days. That's what they said, a few days. And then there's part where one helicopter goes to try to get close to it because they're trying to dump boron on it.
Yeah. And
he tries to get close to it, and you just see like the helicopter just starting to...
Yeah.
And it just fucking goes down. Like the pilot just can't take it.
Well, I'd imagine too the electronics couldn't handle the radiation.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but I think it's, apparently like a few days, like they're toast, but not like instantly like it happens in the show where the guy just starts bleeding from the face like within moments.
Yeah.
After. But yeah, I was kind of surprised by that too. I was like, really, that much fucking radiation, like that close to you, like just wouldn't just tear every cell of your body apart? It just seems like it would.
Have you done any research on the elephant's foot? How fucking scary that thing is?
That if you're close enough to look at it, you basically die.
That and just like grows because it's just melting shit around it.
Yeah.
And it's just a blob, and it's a foot that just hangs out there.
Yeah.
And the guy that put the camera originally there just fucking died. He's like, yep, okay, I'm dead.
Yep. It's pretty
fucking
scary.
Frightening, dude.
Yep. I remember learning about that when I was a little kid.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't give me a lot of detail on it. Basically, just if you look at it, you die.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's not really true. Like, if you look at it, you die. Like,
well, if you can see it, you're just getting blasted.
Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like looking at the arc. Don't look at the arc!
Yeah.
And the whole, like, them... I don't know what the nickname... But it's like a... I guess they call it a coffin or something like that. The structure they put over the reactor. Mm-hmm. That's, like, shielding all the radiation out. That was a pretty interesting thing where they just built it out, like, around it to just, like, cover it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. But yeah, you can tell they just kind of do a flyover and hone in on a few things, but I'm sure there's a lot more threads to pull at. That probably would have ultimately made a better podcast. I think it would have made a more interesting docu-series, or like a podcast series or something like that. Where
It'd be a lot cooler if Mark Wahlberg was there.
Yeah. It's like, what? These guys weren't doing their fucking jobs?
I've been thinking about it more like the Mark Wahlberg thing during COVID. I was like, he has to be Anthony Fauci. There's no way he's not going to be Anthony Fauci, right? Right? This
guy's not fucking wearing a mask over here. Like, you didn't get the fucking memo?
Aerosols in the air.
What?
What? Huh?
That fucking, from that look on his face from, was it The Happening? I think is where that like meme comes from, where he's all like looking confused. So fucking.
That movie's so fucking stupid.
I actually saw that movie in the theaters.
Oh wow!
Is it an M. Night Shyamalan movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad. That was like the first movie where I was like, "Oh, this guy's not good." Because if you remember, it was like
didn't he do that whole like, was it like The Village? Is it called The Village? I don't know what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but. So,
with the twist,
Sixth Sense, great. Mm-hmm. Unbreakable, great. Mm-hmm. Then he did Signs, not great, but like not a terrible movie. Okay. Like it's fine. And then he did The Village, and The Village is in the same vein as Signs. Like it has a lot of plot holes in it, but it has some cool things going on and some cool concepts, and the twist is pretty interesting for lack of, comparison, I guess. But it wasn't until The Happening I saw that, and I was like, I just walked out, I was like, this is the dumbest fucking movie I've ever seen. The movie's so fucking stupid. And it was just like, man, because I thought it was going to be a lot like The Crazies. Did you ever see that movie? They remade it a while back, but it was like the 70s movie. And so, like, The Happening shows, like, one of the things in the trailer is, like, there's this big, like, bladed lawnmower thing with, like, one of those blades, and this guy just like walks up and just like lays down in front of it, and the lawnmower just like fucking goes over him, and I was like, whoa, this is gonna be cool. It's like people just like losing their fucking mind and going ape shit.
Yeah.
And then it was like, yeah, it's fucking plants, dude, because we're poisoning the earth. It's like, fucking shut up. And it's just like, it's just such a fucking dumb movie. Yeah, but he's in it, and he's annoyed and confused wall to wall. I think he's supposed to be something like a teacher.
Here Space Ghost with something to think about.
You ever like be aware of something, food or a movie or something, not actually see the thing or experience the thing, but then when you finally do, it's exactly what you thought it would be? It got me wondering, like, how do we piece together from very little information about something? Because if we were interested in it, we would just watch the movie.
Yeah.
But we're just kind of, like, aware of it adjacently. It's a thing I'm aware of. And I have this suspicion that it's this way. And then you get around to it, and it's exactly what you thought it was. And you know you're not that insightful that you just got all that. Like, how do we get that information? It occurred to me I was listening to... like Amazon's version of Pandora, and you know the band Bikini Kill?
No.
So Bikini Kill is like this girl power punk rock band. They made a movie about it called The Punk Singer. Maybe you've heard of it. Anyway, so I just all these like punk rock chicks I knew like always really liked Bikini Kill, right? It's just like the Kathleen Hannigan or whatever her name is like this enigmatic like person that like young punk girls really dig. And I had never really listened to it, and it came on, and I had never heard the particular song in question, but I knew that it was Bikini Kill, and I looked at it, and I remembered thinking, for the longest time, I didn't know what this band sounded like, but when I heard the band, I'm like, that's exactly what I thought it sounded like. And I was like, how did I draw that conclusion based on next to no information?
Well, maybe it could be like their people's depiction of like it's like this but mixed with this and like that, and then your mind like, okay, it's like, all right, that makes sense.
But in this particular case, I had never heard anybody describe what it was.
Oh, okay, I don't
ever.
Know. Yeah,
and that happens to me a lot with movies, and TV shows too. It's happened with Sex and the City. for the longest time, like I know all these men, grown men, who love Sex in the City, and always tell me it's not like what you think it's like, and I was like, okay, it's
what am I thinking then?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, first of all, how do you know what I think it's like? And then I watched it. I watched it with the old lady, and no, it's exactly what I thought it was. Exactly what I thought it was. And it's fine, but I still maintain my position that it's just like not a show for like grown men. Like, this is not a dude's show. It's like a show for chicks, and it's just like every fiber of it appeals to chicks.
Ugh.
And there are some interesting things in there that are like interesting to dudes, I guess. But I mean, the whole thrust of the show is that it's like a couple of single gals and a bunch of single gals in Manhattan, like on the dating scene.
Fucking.
Like, yeah, and it's like you just have like all the characters are exactly like I thought they were, like almost like exactly before ever. Like just looking at them, just being like, okay, that one's like
that's the plucky one.
Yeah, that's the plucky career gal, and then like this one's the like kind of hoe bag with a heart of gold, and this one's the like uptight, stuffy, waspy one, and this one's like the, whatever.
Maybe they're playing towards like that whole like prototypicalness of whatever character it is. Like they have to look like this. You can't deviate from that.
Maybe like what Ninja Turtle are you kind of situation.
Kind of. And it's like, oh, like you're the smart one, so you have to wear glasses.
Yeah.
And you have to have a ponytail too. Okay.
Smart girls wear glasses and have ponytails.
Yeah.
I was thinking that
you're slutty, so you have to wear a dress all the time.
Yeah. Easy access, right? That's what men think slutty is like. It's strangely enough, like most of the really slutty chicks I've ever known don't really typically dress very provocatively.
They're low key.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on what you mean by slutty. Slutty kind of implies sexually aggressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess maybe I'm kind of conflating slutty and easy. Like easy and slutty are not necessarily the same thing.
Mm-hmm. What else?
I don't know.
Oh.
But did you know?
I got thinking. I remembered this last week when we were talking to Beto about. He was talking about like third-party sites, like booking.
Oh yeah.
Hotels on third-party sites.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, it's like a third-party site is like, hotels.com, Hotwire, Trivago, like Expedia. All Expedia, hotels.com, Hotwire, Trivago, Travelocity, and Orbitz are all the same company.
Yeah, I knew that.
They're all owned by the same company.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that until he was like mentioning it. And I can't even think of it. Is there another Priceline? Is like the only one that's like not owned by that giant company.
Oh, okay.
Like Priceline.
It's like the sunglasses thing. It's like pretty much owned by a few. Oakley?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah,
Oakley got bought out by the big guys.
Yeah, what are they called? They're basically a cartel.
Yeah.
Glasses cartel.
Yeah.
And so, it's just weird, like, because they all come into the market, and then they're all competing with one another, and then you don't really, like, think about the fact that, like, at some point, some of them just get absorbed.
Yeah.
They just win, and they get absorbed, and now they're all the same company. And it's kind of funny, though, if you really think about it. I bet if you went back and tracked, you would notice a subtle shift in their marketing. Because they used to be, like, comparing to, like, each other.
Yeah.
And to, like, the other companies. And there was a lot of that in their narrative of their marketing, right? Like, in the way McDonald's and Burger King are always comparing whatever to each other. Wendy's does it, too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, like, there was a shift away from that at some point where I think they don't really focus on comparing themselves to the other companies that are just the same company.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I remembered that last week. And like I meant to bring it up on that episode last week, but then I don't know, we were all ranting about a bunch of stuff. Fucking hour-long grinds my gears segment last week. We're all very annoyed about things.
I just got woke on the fact that like cellophane is wood resin. I didn't know that.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's wood resin. It's like most of it's a byproduct of wood, except for the glue to put the seams together. Other than that, it's all wood resin. And it was I think it was Cigar Press did a really interesting article or a small interview with like a cellophane manufacturer, and then saying all that stuff and how porous like cellophane is.
Yeah.
Like That's why it's okay to keep it in your humidor for aging. It's actually an added plus to have it aged in cellophane rather than naked.
Why is that?
Because it doesn't introduce any if you put, the idea is if you get like a whole bunch of cigars, like different brands, different wrappers and all that stuff, and given them long enough time, all of them are just going to taste the same because they're kind of intermingling with each other.
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And so cellophane,
So it's kind of like a sponge.
yeah, and then plus it slows down the aging process, so it doesn't lose some of the qualities of that cigar as fast. So it doesn't age as fast. And for me, like someone, like I used to be the type of guy to take the cellophane out of every cigar and put it in my humidor. Now I just leave everything in it. If it comes with cellophane, I just leave it in there.
Yeah, I usually do.
Yeah, because it's like you knock around cigars and,
Yeah, I look at it like armor. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't want
I actually prefer cellophane on cigars now.
I don't think I really have a preference. Aesthetically, I like naked cigars. They just look...
It looks nicer, but like
Nicer.
for practical purposes,
Yeah,
it's better
it's
to have the
just-
cellophane.
Especially if you get, like, some Cubans have pretty fragile wrappers on them. And it's like,
Yeah,
you know...
I wish they had cellophane.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too. Is it's like you try to pack them in a bag so that they're snug in there, but not so snug that they're crushing each
Mhm.
other. So they're snug in there, they won't get banged up as easily. Then it's like, I don't keep a huge cache of cigars, but I do have, a small collection, and some of them will just sit in there for fucking whatever. I meant to smoke the fucking Padron that Bill gave me on my 35th birthday this year on my birthday.
Mm.
I was like, it'll be 3 years.
Mhm.
Been a while now, and it's already like a 85-year Padron or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I just forgot.
Yeah.
Throw away.
And
dig through and find
yeah,
it.
the yellowing of the cello is not the cellophane getting older and degrading. It's picking up the oils from the cigar. That's all it is. It's not an indication of how old the cigar is. It's how oily the cigar is.
Not an indication of how old the cigar is?
Yeah.
Like how yellow the cellophane is?
Yeah. It's just picking up all the natural oils from the cigar because it's so porous.
Right.
That's all it is. It's not a factor of like, oh, if it's yellow, it has to be 5 years old.
Oh, no, I don't think that. But I mean, like, a cigar that you get that doesn't have any yellowing on it versus does have yellowing on it. Like, well, the cigar in the yellow cellophane is older. But you're suggesting that the
How oily the cigar is, because if you get a Maduro
Right, like
versus
if
a
you-
Connecticut,
yeah, you could age 2 cigars for a year apiece, and the one that's oiler is just going to have a darker cellophane. It doesn't mean it's been aged longer.
yeah,
Necessarily. Yeah, no, I get that. Like, that's why it's particularly impressive for me. Like, when I was getting the 2014 Singulares, and that's like a pretty light wrapper and pretty like matte. It's not
Mhm.
a particularly oily cigar, and then you still get the cellophane, and it's like pretty yellow, and
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
but like it won't get as dark as like an equivalent. Like when it's a light cigar and it's like yellowed enough for you to notice it, you're like, that's got some age on it.
Yeah.
Because a Padron will be 3 times darker than that in like a year or two,
Mhm.
because it's just super dark and produces a lot of oil, like, or like LFDs, I imagine, probably really just yellow up a cellophane pretty quickly too.
Mhm.
Not that because people that smoke LFD just grind through them within like 20 minutes or whatever, but
Eh?
it'll just be extra peppery.
Yeah.
Be super duper peppery.
What else? That's it for me for that section.
Yeah, that's
Sports.
let's check. Dateline. Yeah, check because the game might have ended. Since we started podcasting, it was going into double overtime.
Mm.
Oh, the Stars won tonight.
Oh.
So the Lightning were on the verge of winning the Stanley Cup tonight, and it looks like they will have to wait at least another game.
Is it 3-2 or 3-3?
It's 3-2 now.
Okay.
But they lost the first game in the series, and then they took 3, and it was looking like it was going to overtime. So it was looking pretty bleak for the Stars, but I kind of anticipated them winning the game tonight. But yeah, this is looking like, even though the Stars won tonight, I would venture to guess that they're still going to win the series, which is a long time coming for a lot of people on this team. They've been building toward this for several years now. Last year, everybody thought it was kind of their year. They tied the record for amount of wins in a season, and they were looking really good, and they got swept in the first round, and that was not good. by, like they were the top seeded team in the NHL. They got a team that barely made the playoffs, and they got swept, and that was not good and looked really bad. They haven't won the cup since 2004. How did I get 2011? 2004 was the last time they won the cup, so now they have a completely different team. And so they've been building toward this and made some really key moves, and then they just have a stacked roster. So it's like, kind of, this year for me was the year that, like, they needed to win the cup this year because their team, I have this theory there, you have a window, like once you build a team that's like designed to win the cup and should win the cup by all objective measures, like is the team, you have maybe 4 seasons to win it, and if you don't, then your team just starts coming unraveled, and you just have to go back and rebuild. It happened to the New York Rangers.
Oh, like the Sharks.
No.
Without winning a cup.
No. The Sharks never should have been. They didn't trend up and like stay there. They had a good season and they got there, and that was like their one shot.
They run to that buzzsaw of fucking Pittsburgh.
Right. It was a Rocky moment more than anything, where it's like they got one shot because they happened to have a good team that year, and a lot of things fell into place. But it wasn't like they were trending up and then they were kind of like at the top.
So their legs were weak and arms were heavy.
Yeah.
And then threw up in mom's spaghetti.
But yeah, it happened to the Canucks. It happened to the Rangers, where it was like they got right there, maybe even went to the cup. I think both of those teams, the Rangers did not go to the cup. Maybe they did. Yeah, they did. I don't remember. But they got really close, and it was like for several years in a row, everyone was like picking them, picking them, and then they just got really close and didn't win, and didn't win, and didn't win. And then, like, Washington won a couple of years ago, and that was like they needed to win that year because their team they're going to start trending down. Like you're seeing it with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh have a couple cups they have 3 cups under their belt with this core team. But you're going to stop seeing them. Like, last year, it was like, don't count them out. But you're going to increasingly see them not being as competitive of a team. They're not a juggernaut in the East like they were. Same thing with the Blackhawks in the West. I mean, the Blackhawks reigned fucking supreme for like 6 years. And then they almost immediately went from reigning supreme to not even making the playoffs. And they're just not a good team anymore. And so Tampa is in that window and getting to the tail end of that window because a lot of their players are either young and coming up on contracts, or they're getting to be a little bit older, and they already are sapping up cap space. But like their goaltender is young, like they're one of their 2 of their star forwards and a couple of their like second and third line guys that are like key cogs in that machine are coming up on contract renewals, and they need to strike while that iron's hot. And no, so it's good. It'll be good for them because there's a lot of guys on that team that deserve it. Stamkos is the captain. He's a 60 goal scorer. He's perennially a 40 goal scorer, but he scored 60 goals a couple times. He beat out Alex Ovechkin one year for the Rocket Trophy, so that gives you a little bit of his credentials. Victor Hedman is arguably the best defenseman in the league. He is the best defenseman in the league. I don't think it's really even close. Vasilevsky's the best goaltender in the league. They have a couple of other like veteran defensemen, a couple of other like key forwards. Kucherov is, still going to continue to be in the conversation for the Art Ross Trophy and the Hart Trophy. Like, he's one of the best players in the league. And so it's like, you got all the components there. You don't really have an excuse why you can't win. And so they're on the verge of that, so that'll be cool. Florida hasn't seen a cup since '04, and that was, I mean, not that they fucking deserve one, but it's Florida, but
they deserve it, man.
But so it's been more recently than Dallas won a cup. They haven't won a cup since '99, and that was like a fucking million years ago. And I don't even know how they got here this year. I mean, they have a decent team, but I really wouldn't have thought that it would have
playoffs, baby.
I wouldn't have thought that it would have been them that came out of the West. Not.
Well, that's why the playoff system's the best. Not that bullshit they play in Europe.
Where it's like, oh, you just got like the most points. You're the champion.
Yeah, it's like, that's bullshit, dude. What the fuck?
Here's your trophy.
Okay.
Who do we beat?
Everybody.
Everybody. We're good. Yay! Yay!
It's not like the most anticlimactic like fucking like league ever.
Yeah, I agree. It's soccer that does that, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I do like, okay, so they had a big break and they didn't play an 82 game schedule or whatever, but like, yeah, like once Tampa got out of the first round, because they played arguably their stiffest competition, or in the second round. Yeah, in the second round they played, because that's the way the playoff format works now. Is it basically like whatever the conference final should be based on the teams that are like skill wise, ends up being the second round matchup in the East and the West, almost like since they're doing the new playoff format. So it's like the teams, like basically the two best teams in the East met in the second round instead of in the conference final. So it's like once they got past Boston, it was like, well, there really should be nobody standing in their way at this point.
I kind of don't like that.
The second round thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, neither do I. I think the two best teams in the conference should play each other in the conference finals.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't
know why they changed the format.
Yeah, I think it was to get people more interested in the playoffs earlier.
Could be.
I don't like it either. I think it's like you just watch the second round matchup. Like there's usually one of the two second round matchups, and you're like, that's the series to watch. Even more so because
it's like a war of attrition where they get to the like if luck like fortune like favors them enough, or they play skillfully enough they did in the regular season that they got through the battles within those brackets, and they're kind of beat up, and whoever has like a big enough gas tank to get over that hump during those conference finals, those two best teams, it'll be a good matchup.
It's more a test of your mettle.
Yeah.
And well, yeah, that's part of the. I also think it's kind of stupid because part of the whole like playoff system, the way it's set up, is designed to reward a good regular season with an easier path to the cup.
Yeah.
But then you just like, oh, you're just going to go against the other best team,
and it's like, well,
that just and these other you're going to play one of these other fucking like tomato can teams.
Yeah. Want to just like kind of sandbag it and just get in the middle of the pack, and then you'll probably have an easier road up.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't do that, but it's
yeah, you no longer like you're not rewarded for playing good in the regular season. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's well, home ice in the first round counts for a lot, so I can see still like even if you know that the second round is going to be more tough, you definitely want home ice in the first round and to play the worst team in the first round, because especially if you're going to play a really good team in the second round, you're like, man, we really got to go out there and use home ice advantage and sweep this first team and get as much rest as we can because we're playing Boston in the second round.
So how do you feel with the whole like the playoffs in their bubble? Like there's no home advantage for anybody because it's all somewhere else. Where are they playing? Florida? I don't know where they're playing.
Oh, you mean like not having a home arena?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean with hockey, though, you got to remember, too, that line changes are the big home ice advantage. So whoever has, quote, home ice has last change, and that is and face-off advantages.
Yeah.
So there actually is some concrete advantages. It's not just the home arena that is the advantage, because it's that way in basketball, isn't it? Like, it's just the home arena. That's all the only real advantage you get.
Yeah, seems like that's it.
And in football, you could at least argue that like your home field, whether it's Denver or Green Bay, like
they shut up while you're making plays.
Sure, and not just the fans, but like that field. You know what it's like to play in the snow or at a super high altitude or in the sweltering fucking heat, right? So you're acclimated to that. So the field itself is an environment that you're more accustomed to, and that could be a slight edge. But in basketball, it's just like all in a court, and it's like so you have the crowd on your side, but that's it.
Yeah.
I guess in football you get to call the coin toss, right? I don't know. That's a really big advantage.
Yeah.
It's not really because it's 50-50 either way, but it gives you the...
Nah, man. Heads up. Heads, man.
Semblance.
Heads, man.
It's actually both heads. It's like a sides of heads on both sides.
Maybe more like World Series, I guess.
What is the advantage of home field in World Series? You bat first? Or you have a choice to bat or...
Yeah, the batting, and then plus, like, depending, I forgot which American League, National League, designated hitter, or the pitcher. Yeah, pass the bat.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So
I forgot about that. It's so weird to me that they have... See, baseball is the weirdest one to me because the AL and the NL have asymmetric rules. And that's weird. And also, it's weird to me that all of the fields are different sizes.
I don't get it.
That's so weird. It's like, it would be like in the NHL, it's like, well, we have a 200-foot rink, and then this one's 190 feet, and then this one's like 208 feet.
Yeah, you go to Boston, it's like a huge wall in left field. It's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's just like, okay, so that's just kind of weird that it's so asymmetric like that. I mean, it makes it interesting, I guess, but it, I was trying to...
I'm like looking at the old pictures of the baseball fields where there's like a dude sitting right in front of a pillar, because it's like the old constructions, how they used to build the state. It's like a dude sitting in the front of a pillar. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I remember having this argument with Brandon a while ago, and he was trying to convince me that, like, he was like, well, no, it's not really all that asymmetric because everybody plays on all the fields. And I'm like, right, but if you play with the Green Monster, that's your field half of the year.
Yeah.
No other team plays on that field half of the year. So you can design your team around that concept.
Yeah.
Right? You can design your team like, okay, so we know that, maybe people aren't going to be hitting...
We need more lefties.
Yeah, and we also know people aren't going to be hitting as many home runs in this park as they would in, like, Wrigley Field, which is, like, 40 feet or whatever. Yeah. You hit a home... Like, I could hit a home run at Wrigley Field. And so,
I don't understand how, like, Wrigley Field has, like... It has the ivy, but, like, behind the ivy is fucking, like, bricks. Like, why would you even have professionals be there? Like, you run into the fucking ivy and get a concussion.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So, but like, it help you design your team, and he, like, just was failing to understand. Like, no, because, like, when you're there, then, like, you're both experiencing the same thing. It's like,
no, but you experience more if you're the home team.
Yeah.
You build your team around that.
Yeah, and it's like, not as many people are going to hit home runs off the Green Monster. So maybe we don't need to focus on pitching as much because it's harder to hit a home run anyway. And maybe since we are playing on this field all the time, maybe we invest a lot of guys that, like, are fucking home run crankers, and they're practicing on that field on how to hit home runs over that wall specifically.
Yeah.
It could be a big advantage over a fucking 160 game schedule or whatever it is. And he just, like, wasn't having any of it. He just kept making the same argument over and over and over and over again.
My favorite one is, like, how, like, he couldn't get past the whole, like, belly putter thing. It's like, it's cheating.
Oh, you were there for that argument?
The tail end of it was like, it's cheating. It's like, how, like, to me, it's like, everyone can use it, right? You're allowed to use it if you wanted to. How is it cheating?
Yeah, that's what I...
It was more accurate. Okay. But you're not prohibited.
But everybody can use it.
Yeah.
Well, but the old guys didn't grow up using it. Well, it sounds like that they should either adapt or just accept that their putting's going to suck.
Yeah.
They're pros, right?
Just I like hitting these clubs that are made out of wood. I like them. Like, good for you. Let me fucking...
It's not fair that, like, people are allowed to use metal clubs. Well, and do you remember me asking Sen about it?
Oh, why they went back?
I was just like, why do they not allow belly putters anymore?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, it's just to preserve the records.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's just like a very straightforward answer.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't, but, like, that's just what they want.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, fair enough. But, like, Brandon would, like, have you believe that it was, like, immoral or something. It's, like, super unfair competitive advantage or some shit, like counting cards or some shit. It's like, no.
Yeah, if you're saying if you're born this year, you're allowed to use belly putters. But if you're born before that, you can't.
Yeah.
That's an advantage for the people that, want to use it, then they use it.
Yeah.
Right? No one's stopping you from doing it.
Yeah, it's like no one's stopping you from, like, learning to use the belly putter. You choose to not, and it's your score suffers. It seems like you would adjust. You would learn to use it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to learn to use it, so you just have to accept.
That's all on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like just you have to accept that it's a fucking disadvantage for you, and oh well, you're going to governing the rules. I think the whole argument segued into branched off from steroid use. They were talking about, it was a big thing in the news at the time where somebody was using steroids, and I was like, well, I fucking care if someone uses steroids. I don't give a shit. He's like, well, it's just not fair. And I'm like, well, why? I don't understand that. I think it was maybe Lance Armstrong or something. Like,
well, the thing is, like, the whole field was using steroids, so it's like that point's gone and went away. It's like everyone was using it, so he's just the best cheater.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
he had no advantage other than, like, genetically he was probably more gifted than most people, and maybe he had more money for better drugs. I don't know. You can make that argument, but
yeah, well,
but everyone else was doing it.
This was we got into that a little bit in that argument, and I was like, okay, so where do you draw the line with something like that? He has more money. Okay, well then Americans have an advantage over people that don't come with our training facilities, gyms, coaches, living in a first world. Like, all of those things provide you enormous advantages athletically. Like, if you could start playing a sport when you're a kid and go to the rink, and you can get coaches, and like, you know, you have nutritionists and all these things, like, they make you a much superior athlete down the road. That's why big countries with large populations and like that are stable countries kick the shit out of other fucking small countries. Yeah. With Kenya and running notwithstanding. Yeah. but like you know, who are the biggest competitors globally in the Olympics? It's like
former Soviet Union,
yep, USA, China.
Yeah.
Right. And why not India? Well, because India is still largely agrarian. It's still a pretty fucking poor country. The second it stops being a poor country and that aggregate gigantic population have access to all the things, they're just gonna or maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it depends on their proclivities, right? Like, China isn't great in all sports, but they don't compete in all sports. You don't see a lot of China in the Winter Olympics, right? They're not big on ice hockey and curling and skiing and shit. They don't really like that stuff. Whereas, like, you know, the Russians like wrestling and track and field. They also like, you know, hockey and
doping their athletes too.
Right.
That's
and
cool.
Doping the fuck out of their athletes, right? So it's like they have better like access to stuff, and it's like, and they have a legacy of programs, right? It's like, yeah, like India doesn't have like 70 years of like refining and sharpening and honing that edge to perfection.
Or, you know, if they decide to do that, they just cherry pick the best coaches, right, from different countries. That's usually what they do. Like, China did that, and like,
right. It just, so that's like, and you see like China wasn't like a major player in athletics like when we were kids.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you were Chinese or like a math nerd, because that was the path out of like your shitty country, is to like get an education. But like, once you have like the whole population rises up and the standard of living rises up to a level where people can actually focus on athletics.
That's like basketball's super huge there.
Yeah. Right, because you, like, as a kid, you can actually do that. It's not just like, do good in math or you will starve as an adult and die. Right? Do good in math so you can get a job and not starve as an adult. It's like, oh no, the whole bottom floor has been raised up so that,
well, they have a bigger middle class now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so once that start happening with like fucking India, it would be ridiculous, assuming, you know, their sensibilities are, you know, who knows? Maybe they'll just be like all programmers and IT people forever. I don't know.
Right,
but
right. It was a really interesting thing that they the UFC tried to push, try to branch out towards the Indian market. I don't know what actually happened to it, because I know there was a big push. Like, they had the Ultimate Fighter. I think they had a couple shows there. I haven't seen it, but I heard they did it, and I was wondering if there was one. I don't even know where this heavyweight went. It was one Indian like heavyweight, and there was like a big hoopla first one to be in on the big stage of the UFC. I'm not sure what happened to him, but like, you would think that would start to blossom, like something like that.
yeah, well, I think that'll probably start to happen down the road, especially because so you have like a heritage with it in a lot of mixed martial arts in like South America, and then it's obviously an American phenomenon, but with like pride fighting and like Muay Thai and like all the like old martial arts in Asia, you have that. And then in England and in Britain, you're starting to get like a critical mass of guys there. You don't really see that like in boxing. Like, it's like former Soviet bloc and America. Those are where the great boxers come from, almost across the board. Like, all the best boxers. Some of them, like a few of them are British and a few of them are South American, but like in
Caribbean.
And so you have, and I would say in the lower weight classes, you have a lot of like Hispanics and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, let's just say North America, like Mexico and Central America and the United States, a little bit in Britain and then Soviet bloc, but like, it's not really as global as like MMA has the potential to be if it catches on in like just a few more areas and starts to blossom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it for this week.
All right.
You got anything else?
No, I think we covered all the things, all the fun.
All the thingamajiggies.
Yeah. So next week,
What?
Next week's an anniversary episode, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be 1 year. 52 podcasts, guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be 1 year.
No, not last episode.
What? Canceled. Fucking canceled. 1 year in, canceled.
The cancel police will come and take us.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, we've gone through how many different locations? Your place, Aloni, my place, one episode.
a couple episodes. We
Probably
casted
one.
it. No, I think we casted at your place 2, maybe even 3 times. Or not your place, but the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we just did one.
No, we did 2.
Huh. I just remember one.
Well, I've been over there twice. It seems like both of the times that I came over, we podcasted. I mean, maybe I just come over and just hang out one night.
I don't know.
I almost fucked up, man. I don't know. But yeah, we got Aloni, we got West Coast, 2 locales, Poker Lounge and Yard.
Yeah.
At West Coast.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was a fun one. That was like, it was the early Reg Ass podcast. Right?
Yeah, it was. That was.
Was that the first one? Or was
Highlander
the second one?
Terminator.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the first Reg Ass podcast, but it was definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first ones. Yeah, it's been a while ago now.
It's like almost a year ago.
Almost a year. Well, I don't know. It's like something we do every week now. It's like part of the routine.
Yeah.
So it's
Got lights.
camera.
Yeah. Action. Yeah. No cats in the background.
Yeah, my place is not the best place. Sometimes it's all that we got. You know, so.
Oh yeah, I don't know in the future if we're gonna be recording here again, or
Yeah, we might have to go back to my place because it seems like the only viable option.
Yeah, we can do the machine shop too. The only problem is the ventilation is not that great. Because I did notice when we did podcast, the smoke didn't leave the shop for like till the next morning.
Oh.
So I don't want to stink up the place.
And you're like, ugh.
Not good. We'll see what happens.
Your dad come in and yell at you.
What are you doing? You're so stupid.
Or whatever Filipino people sound like.
Why are you podcasting, huh? You think you're going to be like a movie star?
You think you're going to be a movie star?
Huh? You think you're a Manny Pacquiao with the microphones?
Yeah.
You're going to start singing?
Why can't you just take it over there?
This is machine shop, not the top, okay? You're stupid. He doesn't talk like that.
Okay. Well, hopefully he doesn't listen to this either.
No. Why would he?
I don't know. Just be supportive, I guess. Don't care about your stupid hobbies.
Not really.
Stupid opinions about shit.
Yeah, well, you talk your stupid opinion, huh? No one wants to listen to your stupid shit.
Yeah, well, my family just doesn't listen because they all live in the fucking Stone Age and don't know how to internet, so...
I got an Apple phone.
Yeah. Files are in the computer?
You're in the computer. Alright, that does it for this week. Don't be a fool. Wash your hands before you eat the gabagool. Ciao, baby.
Thanks for listening to Mikey and the Press Pass podcast. Consider subscribing. You can rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and pretty much anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. And you can also write us with any ideas, suggestions, or horrible burning criticism at mikeyandthepresspass@gmail.com. Thank you.